In this video, we'll be reorganizing our code that we added last time to make it easier to understand and to make it easier to change in the future. So before you start, make sure you get the code from lesson 3 that we added previously. So if you click that and then the file, if you copy and paste this code into our text editor, and then when you run it, you should get exactly what you had last time, which is our player character or our square on top of the ground line. So again, what we're going to be adding today is a class, and we first need to add a section in our code for that to go into. So I'm going to copy this first section that says init, and then we're going to put this class section right below it, and then I'm just going to change the name here to classes. Alright, so we're going to be making a player class. Alright, so to start out making a class, we use the keyword class, and then we give our class a name. So we're going to be making a class for our player, and then you add parentheses and a colon on the end. And now we want to give our class the attributes that help describe what it is. So our first attribute will be x, which will be the x location for our player. And I'm going to scroll down here a little bit, and you'll notice that when we drew our rectangle or our player last time, we gave it an x of 50. So I'm going to say the x here is going to be 50. And then I'm going to make a y attribute for our player, and you'll notice that our y was height divided by 2. And then next, these last two 50 values were our width and our height for our player. So let's add in the width. Notice that this is all lowercase, so don't get confused. This is not the same as this. This is the width of the screen, whereas this will be the width of the rectangle of our player. All right, so the width for our player will be 50, and then the height for our player will also be 50. Okay, so now our player has the x, y, width, and height. What we want to do now is instead of having the draw down here separately outside of the class, we're going to put that into our class, and we need to make a method or a function for that to go into. So we're going to start our method with the def keyword, which stands for define, and then what this line does is that draws our player. So we're going to give our method a name, and we're just going to call that draw. And then in parentheses, since this is a class, we need to provide the self parameter there, which will help by allowing us to use the attributes inside our class. All right, and then the only line of code that's going to go inside this is actually what we already have. It's going to be this. So I'm going to copy this and paste it into that. And then instead of using these static values here, we're going to use the values of our attributes using the self keyword. So this was 50, and this represents our x, so we're going to say self.x for that. All right, so that's how you kind of reference the attributes in a class. You always have to use the self keyword, and then dot, and then whatever attribute it is that you're referring to. So this height divided by 2, we're going to replace with self.y. And then you'll notice we had a minus 50 here. This minus 50 was to help subtract the height of the rectangle so that it didn't go below the line. So we're going to say minus self.height. And then this 50 was the width, so self.width. And then our last one is the height, so self.height. Okay, we're going to save that. Now, in order to actually use this class, we need to make an object, which is going to be like a variable, but for this class here. So we need to make a new section. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to put this section right above the game loop. Okay, and we're going to just rename this to objects. All right, and we're going to just have one line of code in here, which is going to be our player. So we're going to say player, all lowercase, equals player with a capital P. So notice that this, in order to make an object from our class, we need to basically call what we named it up here, which was player. Okay, so now we can use this object down here, and what we're going to do is we're going to delete our old line of code to draw our player, and we're just going to use our object along with our method that we created above to draw the player now. So we're just going to say player, so that calls the object, and then up here where we created our method draw, what you do is just do dot draw, and then parentheses. And then that will draw our player. So when you run that, you should get the same thing. Oh, I got to close out of my old window. You should get the same exact thing that you had last time. So make sure that you get that before you move on. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time.